Hi, I'm Kate, a Stampin' demonstrator in Washington State. Welcome to my weekly YouTube video, and this particular one is for Fridays, and on Fridays I case the catalog. Case means copy and share everything, and there's some wonderful inspiration in the catalog, so that's what I'm doing with these cards today. The projects I feature here will be from current products, and everything from a simple quick card to a more complex project. I hope you enjoy the free tutorial today, and I would love to have you shop with me. So check out my blog at katespapercreations.org for a link to my online store. And thank you for visiting. So let's get into just sharing you. I'm not going to actually make the cards, but I'm going to share with you how I made them. If you want instructions, from my blog, you can link to These Are My Stamps site, and there are printable instructions and supply lists there. So we'll start with this particular card. It is what I call a clean and simple card. It's just inks and cardstock and stamps. So for this particular card, I started with the large flower image, and of course I'm featuring, I should say, the Blossoms in Bloom bundle. So it's the stamp set, which has these images and sentiments, and it also features several dies, but two large dies and then some smaller flower dies. So that's what I'm featuring in the cards today. The images for these cards that I cased are found on pages 50 and 51 of your annual 2021 catalog. For this one, I used Seaside Spray, and I took the large flower image from the stamp set and I inked it with Seaside Spray. Then I took a dauber and Misty Moonlight, and I daubed the center of the stamp and a little bit out with some Misty Moonlight just to create some shading. And I stamped a portion of that onto the front of this card. Now this is a 3.5 by 5 note card, and Stampin' Up! Sells these with envelopes in the catalog. Then I stamped the centers with the center stamp that's in the set, and for that I used mint macaron. And these little leaf images are stamped with crushed curry as well as the sentiment. Then I took the smallest of the rhinestones in the rhinestone jewels that are available, and I colored them with the dark Just Jade Blends pen. The Blends pens dry on non-porous surfaces, so they're like a permanent marker almost, and so you can color your rhinestones in any of the blends colors and use them on the fronts of your cards to coordinate with the coloring in your cards. So that's what I did here, and I just put 3 of them in the centers. So there is a clean and simple card. The next one I will show you is this one. This one is cut out. There's a border image and then a more center image that you cut out with the dies from the die set. I cut out the outline with Magenta Madness. Then I cut the background part out with Whisper White. And then and before I cut out the outline, I cut a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of Whisper White cardstock. No, of the magenta cardstock, excuse me. And I put the double-sided adhesive on the back of it, so that when I get ready to attach it, it's got sticky back on the whole thing and I don't have to try and put glue around, and that's really awesome. And those are available, those adhesive sheets are available in the catalog as well. So I cut that out with the adhesive on the back. Then I cut the regular one, the background part of the die, out of Whisper White. Then I attached the outline to the Whisper White background. Hope that makes sense. Then I took the stamp and I inked it with Blackberry Bliss, and I stamped it on the card front, and then I colored that with Wink of Stellas. And I don't think you can tell very much in the video, but there is a lovely shimmer to that Blackberry Bliss centers on those flowers. Then I took that outline die and I cut it out again out of Old Olive, and I saved some of the pieces and I pieced them in here just using some liquid glue. Okay, then I took Let's see, it was the, trying to remember the color, crushed curry, I think. No, magenta, Mango Melody, excuse me, I knew I'd think of it sooner or later. Mango Melody blends pen, fine tip, and I colored through the outline, colored in the centers of all the flowers. Then I took Flirty Flamingo blends pen and colored just these little pieces on the flowers here. And that's all I did. Then I decided that the background was too plain and I wanted something on it, and you can see there's some speckle there. So what I did is I took the die and I traced it onto some copy paper and I cut it out, and then I just laid it over it like this, and I got some ink on a block, spritzed it with some water, put my brush in it, and then just tapped the brush over until I got some splatter on the background. And this just helped protect from splattering everything I didn't want. Now you obviously could have splattered before you mounted everything, but I didn't think of that until after I was done. So that's just a little trick I learned to keep things working. Okay, so that's that card. Then the last one I did was this one. And for this one, I cut just a standard card base out of Whisper White Thick, and I embossed the front of it with Tasteful Textile embossing folder. Then I cut out the outline from Whisper White, again a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of Whisper White that had the double-sided adhesive on the back. Cut that out, set that aside. You know, and if you're in a mind of saving things, you could save all these pieces that fell out and use them, color them, and use them for other cards to piece in. Then I cut out the regular background die out of Whisper White as well. Then I took various blends pens and I colored, before I attached it, I colored all of the outline pieces. And you just got to watch carefully, and you can see where the outlines start and end, where the flowers overlap and so on. And I just used various colors, and I could list them all here, but they are listed on my blog, and you can get the supplies list there. So I did that. Then I peeled off the backing and attached it to the white base background of the flower. Then I took blends pins and I used the fine tips and I just colored inside the outlines the various colors on the flowers. So that's what I did there. This is, the sentiment is in the stamp. This little greeting here is cut out with a die from Stitched So Sweetly. Then I turned this whole piece over, the whole colored piece over, and I put dimensionals on the back. So it's got just a little bit, you can see it there, just a little bit of a raised look to it, which I just love. And I had to use mini dimensionals, and sometimes even those were too big. And so I was just trimming off edges off of my dimensional sheets to the size I needed so that I got dimensionals everywhere that needed support. And I put all of those on. Now, a little tip, there's a lot of dimensionals on the back of this, and if you try to put them all on and then go back and remember to peel off the backing, you're going to miss some. It's just not impossible to do. So I peeled off the backing as I attached them, so that when I got done, it was ready to turn over and attach to the front of the card, which I did. And then I stamped this and attached it with mini glue dots. And that's how that card was made. So you can get more information on my blog, which is at katespapercreations.org. You can also go from there. You can link to my These Are My Stamps site, where printable instructions and supply lists are available. I'm glad you stopped by today. I hope you enjoyed the video.